As we move on from the nightmare in Nashville, we move further into another nightmare with this upcoming stretch of games.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me here today. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Welcome back. Today we are going to talk all about the game in Nashville, this upcoming nightmare of a stretch for the Flames, potential nightmare, I should say. And then I wanted to talk about an article feature piece that the Flames put together on Jonathan Huberdeau's resurgence, getting it together. Instead of doing winners and losers of the week, I thought we would just talk about something good. If you aren't, make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you're getting your podcasts, and of course on YouTube as well. We're here for you 5 days a week. I wasn't here for you Wednesday and Thursday, American Thanksgiving, but I'm so happy to be back. And I hope that if you celebrated, you pigged out. And if you didn't and you celebrated in October, well, I hope you had a good day. There is just something about the Nashville Predators that brings out this undisciplined and sloppy to this Flames team. I do not know what it is. It's not like the Predators are this insanely, competitive top 5 team in the league that, finds a way to do that and outplays you. But the Preds do just about every single time these two teams meet. And it is so frustrating. But let's rewind a little bit here. And to get to the end, we need to start at the beginning. Right before the game, we found out that Connor Zary was day-to-day with a lower body injury. Ryan Huska said that he got a little dinged up during the day. I'm assuming during practice. I don't know. I don't think you're chucking hits in practice, but, might have just tweaked something. Kid's young. He has had his battle with injuries before, so this is, obviously a cause for concern. And based on the way this team played without him in the lineup, please get well soon. No, but in all seriousness, we are sending Connor Zary, well wishes, and we hope he feels better as soon as possible. You never enjoy being away from something like hockey, and these athletes make that clear by playing through significant injuries. And I hope that he is fully recovered before he even thinks of stepping on the ice. This game, where was the defense? Okay, where was the defense? They were outshot 45-26. I do not understand. Okay, I was watching this game and I was sitting there and I was like, oh yeah, Nashville, this is fun. The David Poile banner raising thing at the start of the game, very nice. And it just unraveled so quickly. It's like the Flames left their defense back at home last. Wherever they last were. It's like they just left it in the plane. And it was bad. 20 penalty minutes, not great. And when your opponent has 18 and you are 0 for 4 on the power play, 0 for 4, that's not good. That's gross. That is unacceptable. We talked about it on Tuesday's episode about, ways that how this power play is and new ways to try to find something, light a spark on the power play. And I'm going to assume that, the link got lost on its way to Mark Savard. But as of right now, I'm recording this Thursday, November 23rd at 9:43 p.m. Eastern Time. The Flames, the NHL website has the Flames as they have the 26th power play. They're ranked 26 out of 32 on the power play. Again, if you ever need to look for the Flames on a graphic, you look at the middle and you go down. You go down. And it was such a sloppy game between the unnecessary slew footing on Martin Pospisil. I don't think that there was any real malicious contact on I believe it was with Yossi. I don't think that there was anything to that. Dennis Gilbert fighting one of the Preds players, and then Zadorov stepping up for after Pospisil got slew-footed. It's nice to see players stand up for each other, I guess, but that should not be the main priority of your games when you are playing the way that you are. The Flames, they could have turned it around in the second period. Even halfway through that second period, I thought that they were going to potentially tie it up. I thought that they were going to have a strong third period as well, because they have had strong third periods recently. And whether that's scoring again or being able to fend off, a go-ahead goal. Watching them play that way was incredibly frustrating, and everyone felt it in the locker room after. Ryan Huska said that I thought we were sloppy. I thought we were slow and sloppy. I think that's the best way I can put it for the entire night. I thought they skated tonight. For sure, they did. They were more competitive than we were. Whether it was from our inability to do stuff, whether it was them or our inability to do stuff, it's probably a combination of both. At least Ryan Huska is out here telling it as it is, but in a diplomatic way. I do give him credit there. And Chris Tanev commented on just kind of what happened, and he said, just our transition game, when we're fast in the neutral zone, that's when we're dangerous. We get a forecheck going, get some ozone time. We were just a little slow with it, and the D weren't too good on our gaps. I think our forwards were a little stretched out, and we weren't playing our game. So that's what the result was. Again, self-awareness, huge points for that. Again, bare minimum, but someone has to do it. And coming up next, we are going to talk about these next 3 games against 3 of the top 5 teams in the Western Conference. But before we do that, we are going to take a quick little break here. This next segment is brought to you or sponsored by BetterHelp. Therapy is something that I have personally been involved in for the last 20-ish years, and in and out of it, and it has benefited me in so many different ways. And I think this time of year, it can be challenging for anyone. There's less sunlight, there's lots of emotions surrounding the holidays, and just talking to someone and not letting that build up inside of you could be really beneficial. And, BetterHelp is there for you, and you can find a bright spot within BetterHelp. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNHL today to get $10 off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LOCKEDONNHL. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Flames. I'm Jess Belmosto, and make sure you're subscribed wherever you're getting your podcasts, because we're here for you 5 days a week. And as this season continues to roll on, Nick and I are so excited to bring you daily content and to just talk about this from maybe a different perspective than what you might hear in market. The next 3 games, okay? The Flames are coming off this nice little pregame stretch of, this playing beatable teams stretch. And when the Flames went into this, when they were playing the Canucks, it started with the Canucks and ended with the Predators. We talked about how this team needed to at least snag one point from every game, and they just about did, I would say. Some games were better fought than others, and maybe we just pretend Nashville didn't happen, and this team is 500, but they're gonna have to wait a little longer to reach 500, and I don't think it's going to happen against any of these teams, and they're just going to dig themselves into a deeper hole, because what else would these Calgary Flames do? Love them dearly. So they are facing Dallas, Colorado, Vegas, and then Dallas again. Vegas is number 1 in the West. Dallas is number 3, and the Avs are number 5. This doesn't really sit well. This doesn't give me a lot of confidence, just because of how they played against Nashville. Is Connor Zary the glue that is holding this team together? What happens more so when he hits that rookie wall? Every team, it happens with quite literally every single rookie. It's going to happen with Martin Pospisil. I'm worried. And as one should be, because you should not be overly confident going into really any game. But especially when you're playing like this and you're going up against the top dogs. But let's focus on Dallas. Dallas is talented top to bottom. They have built a truly Stanley Cup caliber roster over these last few seasons. They have properly retooled and have been pretty successful with it so far. You're not going to win the Stanley Cup on your first shot at things. That's not how this works. And right now, I was looking over their stats before recording, and 9 out of their top 10 scorers have double-digit points. Joe Pavelski has 18. 18. Elias Lindholm leads the Flames with 13. Yeah. So, this is obviously a big issue for the Flames. This is a weakness that they're going to have, because they don't score. They don't move the puck the same way that Dallas does. They aren't necessarily taking those higher danger shots that, creates opportunity for a goal. And they don't have Jake Oettinger in net. They do not have Jake Oettinger in net. They have Jacob Markstrom, who is still playing rather well, even when his team leaves him out to dry. It's kind of crazy to me that Joe Pavelski has never won a Stanley Cup. And I know that I shouldn't say this because, unbiased sports reporting and journalism. No. I hope that Dallas wins the Stanley Cup this year. I think that'd be neat. This would be super cool. They have been able to, again, just successfully retool and put this team together that is top to bottom, truly competitive. And it's not like it comes in these kind of spurts and waves. They've been rather consistent so far this season. All but 2 skaters have a point. 18 players have a point. It's 17 for the Flames, but the other 3 guys are that are on the NHL website, they're down in the AHL, so doesn't exactly count. 6 of the 10 top scoring players for the Flames are also in double digits. They're just not relatively close with Dallas's top, because there is a big difference between 18 and 13. when you are looking at, really in any situation, but especially when you are looking at points in offensive abilities. Elias Lindholm has not been able to generate anything for himself this season, really, until I believe it was the game against Seattle, where he had that 3-point night and was kind of able to start the engine a little bit. We'll see if it can, maintain that. Again, this is a contract year for him. What's going on there? Play a little bit better, or don't. Or don't. I don't know what to tell you, but Jake Oettinger is my third favorite goalie in this league. Okay? Jeremy Swayman, Jacob Markstrom, Jake Oettinger, they are all yes, there are better goaltenders than Jacob Markstrom, but those three, because I get to watch 2 out of the 3 consistently, they deserve, top spot. And then Jake Oettinger is just so talented, unbelievably talented. I know that save percentage isn't necessarily the strongest statistic to measure goalie success, but right now he has a .920 save percentage, and he is 4th in the league amongst starters, 13 games played, with saved goals above expected with a 4.9. So that's a lot of goals. Markey is right behind him with 6 with 3.6 goals saved above expected, which is good. That is very good. And that is more than I expected for him, and I didn't expect him to be in that safe area. Also, those are from Money Puck's formula, so theirs might be a little different from other models. Just throwing that out there. But this is not going to be an easy fight. It's just not. This is not something that the Flames are going to be, it's not going to be a walk in the park. Nothing the Flames have done this season has been a walk in the park. So adversity builds character, but at some point, enough is enough. These Stars, we talk a lot about the Oilers breaking the Flames after the playoffs. It was absolutely the Stars. They were doing all that little voodoo nonsense on Reddit. They were doing it in the game. The Stars were a better team. And the Flames, they kept going. They were able to stop the Stars. And that's all they can hang their hat on from that playoffs. That's it. They have a top 5 penalty kill. Their power play is, I believe, in the top 15, 16 maybe, but it's not as bad as the Flames, so that doesn't matter. If the Flames continue to play the way they did against Nashville, you can kiss all this positive momentum, energy, vibes. I wouldn't say goodbye, but it's not going to be the way that it has been. I feel like I think that this team has finally kind of pulled themselves out of it on the ice and mentally. I think Huberdeau's contributions have been a big part of that, and they can't keep playing like they did against Nashville. Now, I'm not saying that they will, but playing like that and getting the result that you did is just unacceptable. The Flames are a better team than that, and there's got to be a reason for it, why they stoop to that level and just say, what's hockey? And play in such an undisciplined, sloppy game. But we will wrap up the show today talking about some positive vibes here. Speaking of Jonathan Huberdeau. But before we do that, I do want to take a quick second here because Game Time is one of my most frequented apps. I cannot lie to you. When you buy tickets, it should not be a stressful, overwhelming situation. Game Time is fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view from your seats, and the best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Browse Game Time's app today and find whatever is local to you and see, what those last-minute tickets, flash deals, and zone deals look like. You never know. You might want to go to a comedy show that's sold out, and you didn't know you wanted to go to it until you saw it on Game Time and you grab your tickets. And I love that it has the view from your seats in the venue. That is one of my biggest takeaways from this app. I love that. And right now, you can download the Game Time app and create an account and get $20 off of your first purchase with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me on this fine Friday afternoon or whenever you're listening as we get ready for this game against the Dallas Stars. And we have talked a lot about shifting things, building this momentum, being so close to 500 and digging their holes a little bit deeper. And it is the contributions of this man that I think have truly benefited this team. And I think that not just, on ice, but I think that a lot of it is mentally as well. But Ryan Dietrich wrote this article for Flames.com, and I found it to be rather interesting. The Backlund bump. It's back. He's a fixer, line mate Blake Coleman says of the captain. He's one of those guys where you pretty much always know where he's going to be on the ice. Predictability makes the game a lot easier, and no matter how much skill somebody has, if they aren't playing within a system or being predictable, it makes things more difficult. He's bringing stability to whatever he plays on the ice. This is one of the many contributions that Michael Backlund has had over his, 926 games as a Flame. Backlund has a history, a past of being able to boost players and to help them kind of get back on their feet or find their footing in the game. It's worked with Mangiapane. It's worked with, Blake Coleman kind of getting acclimated in Calgary. I almost said Colorado. No, the Flames are in fact in Calgary. And, with Matthew Tkachuk too, there was a bit of mentoring there. So let's see. Huberdeau has responded to early season adversity with some of his best hockey as a Flame, while bringing himself out of his comfort zone and finding new ways to have a positive impact. I think I'm creating way more, Huberdeau said following Wednesday's morning skate. Some games I probably could have had more points, but I think it's more about creating while being tough to play against. I think the last week has been like that. When you look at guys like Bax, he's the type of player that makes everyone better. The poise he has with the puck makes it easier on you on the wing, and he's the guy that's never going to cheat the game. He always takes pride in his defensive game. He's great on faceoffs, and I think he's a guy that you can talk to. I like having good communications with my centerman, and Bax has been awesome to me. awesome for me. The winger is showing a physical side to his game and that we haven't seen previously. 3 hits on Monday in Seattle were tied for the team lead with Mangiapane. That is wild. I didn't realize that he'd thrown 3 hits. Jonathan Huberdeau, like when I think of Huberdeau prior to Calgary, I think of this like distinguished gentleman that like comes to the game. He's such like a class act. Like I would never throw a hit. And you know, things have changed. Not that he's not a distinguished gentleman, but you have that physical aspect to your game now, and that kind of sets you sets you apart from who you like your reputation. So that's great to see that he is willing to play out of his comfort zone. I think last year part of the issue was forcing him out of his comfort zone was not necessarily done in a constructive way. Like because Huberdeau and Sutter and Alan Walsh were kind of butting heads, I guess, it kind of felt like punishment at sometimes when he was on his off wing. But I think that the leash is longer with Ryan Huska behind the bench. And mainly that's because Huska isn't set in his ways. He knows that, you have to get creative. You have to find a way to get $10.5 million producing. You can't just, have him on the third line with, AJ Greer and Ruzicka or Dubé, whatever the case may be, and expect him to do anything. Having him there with Backlund, who, has this resume and the talents to bring a guy, whoever it is, not to a new level, but to help them, has been, it was bound to succeed at some way. But I never expected Huberdeau to be throwing the amount of hits that he has. And that, again, shaking it up and not being predictable with that side of your game, always fun. And he goes back to say, I'm not the guy that's going to lay big hits every night. Huberdeau laughed. I think it's the kind of thing where other guys look at you and feel more engaged into the game. It's more to win battles than to deliver a big hit. It shows that you're working hard. I agree. Head coach Ryan Huska agrees, adding that while effort has never been a problem for the talented forward, a demonstration like that can bring others into the fight. The last 3 games in particular, he's been a lot more, I don't know if you want to say energized, but more intense with his play, he said, Ryan Huska. Now he's around the puck a lot more. In these last 3 games, he's making plays like we know he can. It's nice to see. A lot of times when guys are going the other direction, they try too much to make a cute play instead of getting back into hard hockey, if you want to call it that. If that means finishing a check or taking a hit to make a play, the work isn't going unnoticed by teammates either. This is fantastic. I feel comfortable and confident with where we're at with Huberdeau right now. And I hate that you even have it just stinks that, things were pretty rough, but I'm running up against the clock here, and we will get to watch Huberdeau on tonight against the Dallas Stars, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the table with Blake Coleman and Michael Backlund, and even on the power play. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube as well. I'm more than happy to see you on X as well, at Jess Belmosto, and I will see y'all on Monday when we talk more about this not so great schedule.